They know it, I know it, and you know it. Farms are some of the coolest things on this entire planet, and some of the coolest people, some of the smartest people, are farmers. They constantly come up with creative solutions to new and diverse problems, and one of those people is Jamie Williams, who I recently had the opportunity to meet. She's the farm manager at one of the farms here in Moab, Utah, and she was willing to cooperate for this video project, which was just so awesome and generous of her. So check out this tour of her farm. She'll talk to you a little bit about her background and the plans that she has for the farm, along with one of her farmers, Zari. The farm is on its way to becoming an organic farm. They're on their way up toward that, and so Jamie will share a little bit about some of the practices that they use now and their plans for the future.
Hello, my name's Jamie Williams, and we're here at a farm that is not yet organic, but we're going to be pursuing certification in probably 6 months, and then it'll take about a year to get the certified. But my history is this. I pursued an art degree at first in college and kind of like floundered and wasn't right for me, and then I decided to be in the environmental science area of college, and then I realized you have to sit in front of a computer and do standard deviations, and I was like, nope, that's not what I want to do at all either. So then I decided on a whim to go into the sustainable ag program, which was like 1 year, and this was at Evergreen State College. I stepped on a farm and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, I'm home. I found it. And what was weird for me is like I was an inner city Los Angeles kid that always felt out of place. My parents never took me camping or anything. And all of a sudden I stepped foot on a farm at 25 and I'm like, this is what I've been missing all my life. So I took to it like a fish to water, and ever since then I just never left farms. And so I got a sustainable ag BA at Evergreen State College, which is a really cool school. And then after that, I became the eco-tourism manager in Tanaka Farms, which is an organic farm down in Irvine. And then I did that for 5 years, and then I got a great opportunity to get unlegitimately a botany degree, a horticulture degree, because I worked at a nursery, the largest one in Southern California, and I was a plant buyer, so the stock that I was exposed to was unbelievable. And I just got obsessed with nomenclature and just knowing about plants. I started thinking about plants as I thought about people. Every plant has a personality. I started to know them intimately, started learning their language and learning how to read them, and that to me was a beautiful thing to learn. And then this is really long. And then I went on to decide I was teaching classes at the nursery, and I decided I loved teaching. So I pursued the master's at Cal Poly for agricultural education, got my single subject degree. I also got a permaculture trainee certificate degree at that point, and my CCM, which is a California Certified Nursery Professional degree. And then I went on from there, and I was an FFA teacher for a while, and it was not the best move for me. It was very challenging. Props up to, I honor FFA teachers. They work so hard. I was just unwilling to work that hard. So I was unwilling to work 7 days a week. So I decided that I needed to step back, and I got the best job of my life, which was at a nonprofit, and we were basically flying in inner city at-risk youth, and we were teaching them in a 2-week program how to farm, how to take care of animals, and then social emotional learning as well. And that was just the most rewarding job, and I got to write all the curriculum, and unfortunately, COVID ending period, it was shut down because we're an educational farm and we weren't getting students. So that's my history. But now I was hired to build this farm, so we'll see it later on the tour, but this is a blank slate. Oh God, I didn't even introduce my favorite colleague over here. Go ahead, sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Zari St. Jean. I'm a graduate of Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University, so I did go to an agricultural-based HBCU in Florida. I got my start actually studying biology and chemistry, and about my spring year of my junior year, I was like, I don't want to be a doctor anymore, and I invested in myself to start learning more about biology, learning about horticulture, doing that kind of thing, and I've just kind of been working grassroots doing a lot of different volunteer projects, doing my own kind of business, running and preparing gardens for people. So that's kind of my experience doing it. Now with Jamie, we have this opportunity to really build this place from scratch and plant this place up from scratch. Literally soil, building the dirt to soil. So all of that will be kind of displayed on the tour, and we'll be able to explain what looks like what it is now and what it's going to transform into be.
Welcome to the farm tour. We'll start in the greenhouse because greenhouse is always the hub, and whenever you design your farm, kind of start from your hub and you start to design outward in zones, kind of a permaculture thing, which is wherever you work the most at is your hub, and then the next zone is where you're going to work the most at next, so put the most effort into after your hub. So the way that our farm is going to be designed is all the annual crops that get flipped over in high production are going to be right up front out here. Moving past that, we're going to go to perennial crops, so a lot of berry crops, artichoke, asparagus, stuff that comes up every year, less work than annual flip. And then beyond that will be orchards. That's the least amount of work, and then compost beyond that. So that's kind of the way I designed this farm. And so here's our greenhouse. Organic methods are we use organic potting soil. We use all natural fertilizers. Kelp meal is a great one for starting seeds because it doesn't have a high nitrogen content, which can burn the seeds. It has a lot of micronutrients, minerals that the babies would really need to be healthy. If you look in that drawer over there, you can open that up. Yeah, go ahead. We've got some employees in there. They work for the garden. Those are, if you dig in there, we've got some red wigglers. Those are actually European crawlers, which are supposed to be the super people of red wiggler worms. So those are composting earthworms. We're building that population. I usually add it to all my compost piles to finish them, and I'm going to add it to my lasagna beds to increase fertility. So, yeah, it's just organic seeds, of course. Favorite seed company, this is going to be a shout out right now, is I love Peaceful Valley Farms Grow Organic in Northern California. They're so ethically conscious where they actually source a lot of their bare root, which I'm really excited about, and they just do a really great job. So one of my favorite companies. Baker Creek, love you, but I can't use you a lot of the time because you're not organically certified. But Baker Creek has the coolest stuff ever. It's the catalog that comes in, and it's my favorite thing to flip through. But we've got, so this is considered an organic pesticide. This is diatomaceous earth, and basically what it is for any exoskeletal insect. These are micro diatoms that are basically miniature skeletons that are all crushed up. They're incredibly satisfying to put your hands into. It's like a white powder. But this actually, this will get up underneath the exoskeleton of ants and any exoskeleton creature and basically cut them to ribbons. People actually use this as a dietary supplement. So it's completely natural and okay for us and for animals. The only thing it affects is small insect bodies with exoskeletons. So you'd put that on you've got some ants that are farming aphids up some of your plants. It's really not the aphids' fault, they're up in the upper plants. It's really the ants that are pushing them up there, because they're farmers too. So unfortunately, sometimes we kill other farmers. But yeah, so that's a kind of an example of an organic pesticide. This is a nice, I love this product. EM1 microorganism inoculant. I use it to inoculate my compost piles as well as to add to our compost tea, which we make on a weekly basis. Compost tea is, it's just the next level. It's just extra and it's just wonderful. Great, adds a lot of microorganisms to your soil. And we make our compost tea with a bubbler. So aerate and then just 5-gallon buckets and add a bunch of mycorrhizae and EM1 microinoculant, compost, let it bubble for 2 days, and then go ahead and put it on our plants, and it does wonders. This greenhouse is really cool. I've never been in a greenhouse that actually had like a living floor that you can plant into. So inside here we've got some warmer season crops that hopefully will push through the next like month of cold nights. I'm hoping for that. Up here we have our cooler season crops that we're gonna be planting out into the farm. So like spinach, which we got arugula, kale, turnip, and collard greens, all those lovely microgreens and deep leafy greens that you get in the cold weather, boost our immune system for winter. Over down here, we've got a lot of our warm season crops still hanging about. These look like a tomatillo variety. We've got tomatoes. This is one of my favorite things to grow, and unfortunately, I started it a little late this year just because I got to the farm a little late. This is loofah gourd. I love loofah gourd because it's where the loofah sponge comes from. So they grow these huge gourds like this long, and then they dry off. You let them dry out, and then you just peel the skin off, and then inside is the loofah sponge. And you just kind of soak that, get all the stuff out of it. And then I use it to scrub out all my compost buckets, to scrub harvest buckets. You know, obviously not the same sponge for both of those, but they last longer than your store-bought microplastic green sponge that every time you're wiping something is putting, you know, microscopic plastic fragments into the water system. So loofah sponges, farmers grow them, and you can use them to clean everything, and they last forever. Really good return. So one of my favorite plants. But it needs really, really hot weather. I don't know if it's gonna produce as the colder nights come on, but hopefully it will stick around in the greenhouse, and it's just cool. Like, they're just strong little plants. They're just wrapped around here. Probably gonna bind up all my equipment soon, and yes, I will sacrifice my equipment just to see them grow. So, because you always go with the plants, you know, what they want, not what you want.
I'm not originally from Utah, so when I got here and I felt like that I might be the only person that I saw, it wasn't really the case. When I came to the farm, I met a few Jamaicans, and they told me that they had been out into the garden and they planted some peppers, and they wanted to know how they fared. So when I initially started harvesting, one of the first things that I harvested was jalapeno, and I worked my way down the road one day, and I found these kind of tucked in. And this is actually a Scotch bonnet, or it would be called like a habanero here in America, but these are Scotch bonnet peppers, which is something that I use a lot of in my cooking. So coming across this, and normally shopping at like Caribbean grocery stores and things like that to fare for my groceries outside of farmers market shopping and growing my own, coming across these peppers was a really nice surprise. And when I was able to share it with the other Jamaicans who work here, everyone was thrilled. So it was a really nice way to forge a relationship with the guys who work in the kitchen as chefs, and letting them know, you know, some of the stuff that we have that's similar to what they had at home. So that would be one of my favorite plants because they're really like tucked in. That's one. Here's one as well, and then there's one more right over here. So there's not many of them. Like all of this row was like mini bell peppers and jalapenos, and then all of a sudden it was these Scotch bonnet plants. So we all kind of had fun this summer eating these up and sharing recipes of the different things that we've cooked with them. You actually can get in here when you're harvesting. There's not too many tomatoes left up inside of our tomato house. This is where it was like protected when it was so hot here in Utah, like 120s regularly. The tomatoes would grow on the inside of this, inside of the plant, creating like this tomato house to keep themselves cool because it was so hot. So I used to have to like crawl deep in here and like pull out tomatoes. There aren't any tomatoes anymore. A lot of them are green, growing on the outsides now.
This is the desert, the Moab desert, and it's like, I looked at a soil sample, it's like 60% sand and then other stuff, but there's like almost 0% organic matter in this soil. which means it's not really holding water, not holding nutrients per se. So in order to combat that and create a more fertile soil for the plants that I want to grow here, I am altering the soil environment. And one way that I'm doing that is through lasagna bedding. And that is basically, we did underneath here is actually, here, I'll show it to you in process, but these have all been lasagna bedded. And we're letting them break down over a 5-month period until we planted them. We did plant in some of them just to see what was happening, but we're not going to eat any of this food because lasagna bedding is, in essence, cardboard to stop weeds, hay to add carbon, manure to add nitrogen, hay, food scraps, and then you repeat that lasagna layering as you go up. So this is one in process. First layer is cardboard. You can see some of them peeking out here. And then the second layer is going to be all the hay. And what's really cool about this ranch is that all of these materials are here at the ranch. We're recycling everything. So I always think of the garden as like made up of every department on this ranch. Like the cardboard came from the kitchen and different departments like unpacking stuff. This hay right out here, well now it's kind of straw because it's lost its nutrients, but that's all the fields. All the hay is from the baled fields that we have for growing Timothy grass for the horses, just leftover stuff. And then we get all of our food scraps, like we put them in buckets and store them until we use them. Those come from the kitchen or from our bakery. So we're recycling all those. And then the final and the biggest push of nutrients is, of course, we have a barn. You really can't build great soil without manure. I just believe in that. People used to always come to the nursery and be like, I need vegan compost. And I'd be like, well, there's no such thing, because in nature, it's not vegan. It's dead animals, dying and biodegrading. It's insects, dying. It's everyone pooping on the ground. It's all beautiful and it's all works into that cycle. So to make soil without manure, it's just not as nutritious, not as, plants want to eat dead things. That's basically what it is. So we've got some manure you can see dumped that's just this morning from our Wranglers, and straw, hay, and we're going to keep layering that, and we're going to top the whole thing off with straw because it's a great weed mitigator, keeps moisture in, and I think it looks nice. It kind of like finishes everything off, but it also breaks down. So that's lasagna bedding. A lot of work up front, great returns down the line. This is like the third time he's repaired this leak out there. We haven't had water in the garden for a couple days and I feel really bad. He fixed it twice and it's busted like the third time, The plumbing on this farm is like 20 years old, and that's just pipes break after 20 years. But we call it in farming, we call it the irrigation year, and it's literally like when all of the pipes that were installed, they become brittle, it's PVC, and the pressure eventually just busts them. So this is our irrigation year at Squirrel. I don't know if you've heard a lot about the irrigation, but it's like every 3 days we have a busted pipe, and poor Terry's the one who gets to dig it up and replace it all. So
Nice.
yeah, it's been a struggle. The garden is being built out at this point, and we're now in the month of October, and so colder nights are coming, and a lot of our warmer crops are just getting frostbitten by, we call it burned, which is really funny because the leaf is something that's burned by cold. It actually is blackened, so kind of like burning the leaf. And we've had a couple of below 35-degree weather nights, so this is kind of the result. But we've got tomatoes over here, and what we do, we've got a nice companion planting, 2 plants that help each other grow. We've got our Thai basil, and then we've got our tomatoes, which this is a really simple farmer's method of controlling them without like having huge cages every single plant. But this is an organic method that we use to keep things warmer. This is called a frost cloth. So we literally will chuck these plants into bed at night, and it's just like you or me going to bed every night. Like our body temperature drops and we require just an extra layer of warmth. So we just tuck them in. And it's basically like putting the blanket over, and then when the frost comes through, they're a little warmer than usual. These are great actually as an organic farmer tool because when you direct seed, you can lay this right over the direct seed row, and the birds can't come and get all your seed. So very interchangeable and great thing to have as an organic farmer. These 4 rows, they're a little overgrown, but they served us really well this entire summer, and they are companion planting stars, famous. They're the 3 sisters, which is corn, squash, and beans. Yes, there are beans in here, they're just kind of overgrown and lost within it. But what's really cool about this companion is corn grows tall and provides a trellis sort of like for squash or for the beans. Beans are heavy nitrogen fixers, so they actually give nitrogen back to the soil. And squash actually has a prickly leaf, so they're pest deterrent, but they're also shading the roots of all the other plants and therefore cooling the roots in the hot summer heat. So we've had a great success. I know it doesn't look good now, but man, we've had like 50 pounds of squash every day. It's been insane. So yeah, really love 3 sisters. Sunflowers. If you want to capture the hearts of people, plant some sunflowers. That's all I'm saying. Watch out for my water bottle. You can always tell when the seeds are ready to harvest, because if you do this, you're gonna have all of these flowers fall off. And a sunflower is not one sunflower. Sunflower is, I actually counted them. I didn't actually count every one, but I did like an estimation, like counted down the row and over. One day when I was de-seeding these, I was like, I wonder. And I counted between 2,500 and 4,000 seeds in every single flower head, which means that there's actually around 3,000 flowers on one of these sections. What's so great about that is if you're, let's say if you're a bumbling butterfly or a bee and you're like, I'm gonna fly so far for my food, instead of like dropping into one flower and be like taking a drink, going like 3 feet over, taking another drink, they can drop onto one pad, sunflower, and they can take 3,000 drinks. So it's a great return for your commute, basically. So, and actually I don't have any like my shears with me, so I'm just gonna break a snack. So. There we go. Bigger than my head. This is a mammoth sunflower. They're really great, and you can see, oh hello, I'm so sorry, I almost rolled you. Sorry about that. Got a little wasp. He's a little rat. I think I rolled him a bit, but you're doing okay, right? Okay. Sorry, he's cleaning himself. He's pruning, which means that he's just like getting himself back together. So sorry about that. Obviously looking for some of the flowers that might be left over, and what's coming out of this is some really well-formed sunflower seeds, and of course you can make sunflower butter or eat them plain, but we're gonna save them for next year and we're gonna replant a lot of these seeds. The other thing you can do, if we just put this over on the table right now and waited like 5 minutes, like incognito, we could even do that. Our local squirrel might pop up and eat all of this while you watch him or her. The squirrel is named Seedy Sunflower, and Seedy Sunflower can stuff like a quarter of the sunflower seeds into the pouches in its mouth in like 20 seconds. Pretty cool to see. Do you want to see if we can catch it? Which is really cool is that squirrels have sunflower camouflage built into their coats. Look at that. Looks just like a sunflower. Now this little guy is so sunflower obsessed he doesn't even mind when I get so close. Hi buddy. He's almost used to me filming him at this point because, I mean, I'm close. But look at, he blends with the sunflower. Hi. Look at how chubby his cheeks are. See how much he's storing in there? Look at that. Here. Can we get a...
Well, look at you still here at the end of this very long video. I'd like to extend a very special and warm thank you to Jamie for helping me out with this project. I really think that there are very few people in the world better than her to help spread this message and information about organic agriculture and organic food. The passion is really there, and that's truly what matters at the end of the day. You can just tell how much she loves good food, good plants, good things, and good people, and good farms, and good everything. So thank you so much, Jamie, for doing this. You're a rock star. and your farms in the past, I'm sure, were absolutely awesome. This is the first farm of yours that I'm seeing, and I am so excited to see what it will be as you continue to try and make it more and more organic. I've eaten some of the food from there, and it's already absolutely amazing, so I'm kind of finding it difficult to comprehend how you can continue to make it better, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure that out. So thanks again, Jamie, and thank you for watching. Remember to stay hungry for organic food, and I'll see you next time. And there are a few things that are cooler than getting to figure out how to operate and getting to figure out... Why did I say it again?
Okay. Have you ever seen Baby with Jamie? It's okay if you haven't. I know, it's okay. But the mom, she just like didn't care about her son who lived with her, and she just worried about gardening and growing her tomatoes in California. It's a cult classic.
Okay.
Well, let me fix my clothes because I'm gonna be on camera for your class.